Well, hi guys and girls, welcome back to the spare room. Sam again. And this is part 3 of this metal spinning attachment build. The next part is this rest that goes on top of the pattern. We did the pattern last time. Have a look at that video if you haven't seen it. That's with a coat of paint. That's what it looks like. Paint's still wet, but that's the pattern for the rest. And what we need is, when we bore the casting out here, there's a piece that bolts on top of there that looks like this, or that goes in the hole with a screw in the front to stop it turning. I originally drew this up quite a bit longer with more holes, and when I think about it, there's not a lot of point, because with smaller stuff you're going to be working out on one end all the time anyway, and you've got a bit of flex there, and probably everything's strong enough, but we're only making smaller stuff anyway, so 4 holes, which is 60mm across, should be plenty enough section to spin whatever I'm going to do. But we'll see. It's easy enough to move if you need to, I guess. So I squared up a bit of stock. I just hacksawed it off on a hot day. It's about 34, 36 again today, and set up in the forge or machined each end and put some blue on it. The next job will be to get the surface plate over here, and because this is 30 by 30mm and it only needs to be 20 by 30, we're going to mark a line around here 10mm from the end, and probably on one side we'll mark the centre so that we can put a hole and bore it out to put this in here and weld it. And I guess when we're sort of down to size, we'll mark these 3 or 4 holes here and drill them as well. So let's get set up here. So the easiest way to mark this out is just to use a something square to support your ruler, and just set a scribing block or a marking gauge or whatever to the ruler. That's plenty good enough. There we go, and we can scribe a line round. And that's how much it needs to come off it. This one's fairly easy to get in the centre on the other axis. Get it pretty close there on the ruler. Then a good trick is just to mark on one side and turn it over and mark the other side, and you realise that you're quite a bit out. That's our centre line, and because the ends are square we can do exactly the same this way. We know that this is pretty close to 90mm. Well, I know this is pretty close to 90mm long. So there we go. What we need to do is set this up in the forge jaw with that nicely on centre, and take it down to 20mm. But we'll set him up and we'll machine him down, and we'll bore that out to fit the spigot in. Then all we'll have to do is put the 3 holes in the top and finish him off. So it's a pretty straightforward little part. Let's see how we go. Oh, there we go. We're down to 20mm that way, or down to the line anyway, and that'll be close enough nearly. it's pretty accurate. Actually, I did measure it. Next job is to bore this about 18mm, something like that. I'm going to machine the end of this spigot down, and whether we Loctite it or whether we actually go the trouble of welding it in, I'm not sure. Probably it's going to just get Loctited, I think. So what's the next thing? Shift this out of the way. That's a lot of hot chips down my back and all over my arms. And who'd be a machinist? It's too hot today for long sleeves, and I should have put them on, so I'm filthy dirty. But most of you here for the lathe work, not for me, so you'll have to put up with that. Stupid tripod. So there we go, we've got a whole board in there fairly nice. I think I'm just going to put a spigot on that. Look, hot chips. Ow, 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 ow. Should have worn long sleeves. This might be 1020 or 1030 or something, I think, but anyway, it's going to last pretty well. Now, that's that side operation finished. The next job is to take him out and deburr him. Or take some shavings off him first with a little fire and give him a bit of a clean up. And the other operation on this piece is to put the holes through from the other side. So I guess we need to mark him up again next. It's getting a bit dark, I might leave that for tomorrow. So we've sat down and marked those holes reasonably close to in line. I think they're not bad, and that's where we're up to. So it's a new day. There's a couple of options here. I could probably just drill these in a drill press and they'd be plenty good enough, I guess. My drill press isn't particularly highly powered, and I don't know how square the table or solid it is. I'm probably going to see if this will set up in the 4-jaw chuck, and we're going to drill these right through, I think. So, time to do a bit of a setup. So I've set this up this morning, and I've done one hole here just to see how it'd go. This is quite a bit out of balance, but it's not enough to worry anything. I've got a piece of tool steel that's the same thickness as this land here, which is fairly useful. The secret's to put that in there nice and firm. Get him all sitting up against here and up against the piece of tool steel, and to set him up on centre here with a clock gauge. So I've done that, and we've got another hole running on centre, so let's get ahead and drilling. So that's the second one. Have a look. 2 more to go. They're interrupted holes. I'm just going to get in ahead and do them, and we'll have a look when it's done. I can hear everyone screaming from here. Use the Bridgeport, use the Bridgeport, you need a milling machine, you need a milling machine. But really for this sort of work you don't, and this is just as accurate as any milling machine that most people can afford. And it does the job, and it's going to end up pretty nice. So let's set the other 2 up and drill them, and we'll have a bit of a look at the part. So there we go. Didn't take me long. Looks pretty good. Take him out and deburr him and give him a clean up. Just do a bit of inspection and checking and make sure everything's sort of in line and looking pretty good. So far it's looking good. When you set something up like this on multiple axes, you don't ever have to set the two that you slide through. Just undo the same jaw all the time and it's not far out. That's sort of plenty good enough. So for something like this, you can check it for sure, but you shouldn't have to check it. You shouldn't have to move it too far this way at any point. And that should be all nice and square and straight through there. I would like to put a little bit of a counter bore on here, and I'm just going to set up a stop in the drill press and just touch them. So we've got the 4 of them done, and the other side as well. And I'm going to break up these edges a bit, maybe with a file. So there we go, let's have a look. So that's what we've got. There's 4 holes on that side, and there's 5 holes on that side actually. Now I've got a bit of 3/4 stock here, which is long enough to do it, and I'm not going to do it like that. It's not going to be particularly neat. The reamer that I have to ream the casting is a fraction oversized, if anything. And if I ream the brass out and put this in, which is 3/4 stocks, couple of thou under, is nominal, so we're going to have a fairly loose fit. It's not going to be a huge deal, but if we machine this down on here, we've also got a weld surface, and I think I'm going to braze this in here. I've got a weld surface that's actually sitting on the casting, and I haven't got a hugely big weld surface, and it's just not going to work. So I've got this, and we can put this is a bit of 25mm black steel, and it's plenty good enough, I think. I'm going to cut a piece off and machine a step on there to go in there and clean up the outside nicely. Then turn him round with a centre in him and machine him down to 3/4 and polish him up. And we're going to sit that in there and we're going to weld him up. So that's the next job. We'll work out how long we need him, and it only needs to be sort of that long. I think this is about 5mm in here. I have to measure that again. And once, I think I've allowed about 4 or 5mm for the step on the drawing. So let's work out how long and chop him off, face him up, and make a step to go, a shoulder to go in there. So that's the first boss machine there. It's going to be a fairly nice fit in there. And we've got this weld distance around here and around here, so that's a lot better. And there's still a hole in here so that the dirt can fall through. There's nothing worse than having something you've got to dig the dirt out with a scribe every time you want to use it. So next job, and I'll put a little centre drill there so that that ditch that didn't quite clean up on the back of the little part and little boring bar will still seat down nicely. Next job's to chuck this and centre drill this end, put a centre in it, and we're going to machine this down the right length so that this here is 37.5mm from here to here, and this up here is 30mm, so that's the next job. So there we go. That's what the post looks like, I think. So far that looks pretty good. I'm going to weld this in here. I thought long and hard about other ways to do it, and probably you could put a grub screw in his end and that'd be, or a pin through it, it'd be plenty good enough, and a bit of Loctite. I don't want it to come loose, and probably the easiest way is just to braze it around here and around here. Means a bit of work cleaning it up afterwards, quite a bit of work, but I think we can get that done. And let's see how it goes. It's really warm here. It's supposed to be 43 today. I'd say it's pushing 36 or 37. There's a bit of a breeze, which is nice here. But it's fairly warm to be welding anything. Managed to find the trusty welding goggles. We'll find the brazing hearth and remove all this junk that seems to permanently live on it. Let's see if we can get it hot enough to weld it. I'm just going to use a bit of flux coated bronze wire, hard bronze. I think that'll do the job. Give the tip a bit of a clean. This little oxy mat welding set's pretty useful, really. That's pretty much got a pretty neat fillet around there, I think. I'm going to let that cool, and in a couple of hours I'll start cleaning it up. I don't think I'm going to quench it. I don't think the steel will harden up, but I really don't want to do that, so I'm going to let it cool down well below the critical range, and probably I'll quench it just to crack the flux on the welds, and get into it with some wet and dry and clean it up, and we'll have a look at it. Anyway, it's a couple of hours later and this is starting to look like it's nearly finished. I've given this all a good clean up again. I've cleaned that weld out. It looks pretty good. Just brazed in there. I'm giving everything a good clean up. So that's the steady. This gets a hole bored in it when the casting comes, and that goes in there like that. So pretty self-explanatory so far. I'm probably going to give these holes a counterbore with a decent countersink, and I haven't got one, and I should have one, so maybe this week I'll buy one, and before we're done we might just touch this up. Apart from that, it's sort of fairly sweet. It could do with a little bit more out of there, but I'm just going to leave it. The weld's not quite even, but it's cleaned up nice, and nice piece. What I'd really like is a vibratory finisher or a tumbler, and maybe there's one of those in my future, but an hour in there with some walnut shell or something, or even some abrasive, would make parts like this look really, really nice. So maybe there's one of them in my future. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys and girls, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and be kind to each other, and more soon.